Lucky Boys Podcast.
Welcome to Lucky Boys Podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Norm. Welcome to another episode. Man, it took me a while to get here. You know, it seems like everything is kind of getting back to normal. Traffic's been,
Is that so?
Yeah, traffic took me an extra 15 minutes to get here. So that's about right. Traffic is like normalizing. So to me, it seems like everything is going back to normal. And the city is going to phase 2 on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah.
New York City and a lot of places along with that.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think the cases are going to start spiking?
I mean, you kind of hear the news. California,
Florida.
Arizona. Yeah, those hot spots. I mean, even California, they put a mandatory policy to wear masks now. So,
correct. Right.
I don't know. It's. I mean, it seems like everything is going back to normal. I mean, like, look, phase 2 in New York City, we're supposed to be able to dine outside. Now, barbershops are supposed to be opening, right? But the thing is, people have been eating outside
right.
months ago,
and drinking outside.
Right, exactly. So I don't know what's changing.
Well, they're I guess they're making it official.
Officially, yeah, that's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's. I know there's a lot of people going out now, but keep in mind that's not New York City in full force.
Yeah.
And I think we're okay. If you think it was packed before, I mean, you haven't seen anything yet. I mean.
Oh yeah. New York City full force in the summertime. It's chaos. It's chaos. I don't want to say it's chaos, but it's.
But it's going to be crazy with people not eating inside. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's kind of dope eating outside, being outdoors, and it almost feels like a block party.
Right.
Right.
But I don't know if there's going to be restrictions for that. Right. If there are restrictions like you can't congregate or you can't loiter in front of a building, then what's the point of eating outside, right?
I don't think there'll be spacing issues and restrictions because they're going into another phase of opening.
Yeah.
Right. And it's supposed to bring some normalcy back into the era. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you kind of have to see it play out.
Yeah.
But I would have to imagine that cases will increase because of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we haven't heard anything about cases increasing because of the protests, so we're still at that phase.
That's what trips me out.
Weird. That's tripping, right? It's trippy.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's weird. I haven't heard.
That is so bizarre.
I haven't heard anything
it's like
about
some
that.
Conspiracy.
Oh man, if that's the case. But then the protests are happening outdoors. Maybe that plays a role into the spread of it because. People are still wearing masks during the protests. They're spaced out outdoors.
Or maybe it's a conspiracy. Dum dum dum. Today's magic word.
Wait. So let's dive deep into this idea of conspiracy. What do you think that the media is suppressing? All right. So some of the news.
So what I hear, in the weird conspiracy realm, on one end you got. We should not be opening, and they are doing this because the conspiracy is like open businesses back up to stimulate the economy again, to put people back to work. That's one end. So they're saying there's a conspiracy that the virus isn't really as low as you think. Right? They're just fudging the numbers.
Yeah.
To make you believe that it's a lot better now, so you can go back out from being shelter in place and try to resume with normal life. And there's an argument for that because of what happened in Florida.
Yeah.
If you remember what happened with the data.
Trying to suppress the full numbers coming out. And then you have the data scientist or the technician who came out and said, I modeled the damn thing. I know. Mm-hmm. And I rebuilt the database and I rebuilt the model from scratch. So, for people who were.
So she was saying that you were underreporting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's that conspiracy. We have the other realm that says this is really, really like, it's not that serious. Mm-hmm. It's a plan to try to, it's a conspiracy to try to ruin the economy because this is the only thing Trump has to go on.
Yeah.
So they're trying to break down the economy so that Trump doesn't win the election.
Really?
So that's the other side of it.
That's
That's one of the things.
I was thinking,
and then another one is kind of like population control, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I'm sure most of the people listening to us already kind of heard, that. So we're just diving into other arenas of thought here.
When you were saying that to purposely sabotage or demolish the economy, and because this was planned to go against the Trump administration, I actually thought the other way when you were saying that. I thought he could come in as the savior to kind of, all right, this is not, these numbers are fake. We're gonna reopen the economy. So he comes in as a savior to those, to his constituents. He's been saying that. Right?
Actually, Trump's, it's kind of funny. He's been saying, he's been pointing out like, hey, these are conspiracies. He's been playing around with some conspiracies and pointing it out there on Twitter, and actually in some of his press conference, kind of alluding to that idea. But no, I wouldn't think that he would try to create this so that it could help him. It hurts him. It certainly hurts him if the economy isn't doing well, and if he looks as a savior. I don't know. I think right now the best case scenario is damage control, because before he was riding high, man.
Yep.
The stock market all time high.
Well, the stock market,
unemployment all time low.
The stock market is still all time high.
It's not an all time high, but it's not as low as you would think compared to unemployment.
Right.
And with the economy, with the U.S. officially entering into a recession in the last quarter, so. The stock market doesn't seem to reflect our current environment. But to be fair, the stock market is based on future earnings, projections on how they'll do in the next quarter. Yeah. So to be fair, maybe that's why there's a discrepancy in that, because no one saw the virus coming. Right. And I'm talking about like the masses. There are pockets here and there, but in terms of economic data, and because if we knew for certain this would have this type of impact, the way it did with unemployment and shutting down and quarantine and all that jazz back in December, January, oh my gosh, the stock market, I think the Dow would have been at 15,000 easily. Yeah. Easily. Everybody would have just sold everything, all their stocks, and just completely put it away.
Some people did. Some elected officials.
The inside,
the insiders.
The insiders. Air quotes, the inside trading, because there's some senators being accused of inside trading.
Yeah, and so I think the messed up thing was that they weren't charged or indicted for any wrongdoing. So
because there wasn't absolute proof.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if you were to sell your stock,
the timing is very
suspect, man.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, you need more than that to indict someone. You need more than just a strong hunch, especially if they're sitting hunch. U.S. senator. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
Politically,
but it doesn't look good, from the constituents, and if I see like an elected official and they have some insider knowledge, and they. And from what I've been seeing, the Fed is manipulating the stock market, and this is really a tale of two recessions, right? 50% of the American economy, of Americans own stocks, while the other 50% don't. So it's like a tale of two worlds.
Wait, so who owns the other 50%?
Well, 50% of Americans, just in general.
I thought you were doing a breakdown of the stock. Okay, I was like, okay, so 50% of Americans invest in the stock market, and the other 50% don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah, they don't have skin in the game. So it's really a tale of two economies, two recessions. So some people will feel the impact a lot more, while people who are invested in stocks, they're riding high for now, and then they have some time to tell themselves that it's time to sell out. So I'll recoup, I'll gain some profits, and I'll go back to the stock market when it's the actual crash.
Well, I think the key thing is to not panic, right? I think a lot of the times we tend to overreact or underreact, and it's hard because when you're dealing with money, it's much better, almost 100% of the time, to be logical. And we can't help to be so emotionally invested to our finances. And because of that, when we make any decisions surrounding our capital and where to put it, it becomes very emotional for us. Should I not? Oh my gosh, what if it goes up? What if it goes down? What if this happens? What if that happens? And the key thing, if you're a long-term investor, you have to look at it. If you think the U.S. economy in the long term is going to go up, then certainly ride it out.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the ups and downs. Just worry about the end game, right? When you get to the destination of when you feel like you need that money and you want to retire. But for the day traders, for the people that are jumping in and out, outsmarting the market, or they think they can outsmart the markets, that's a different game.
Yeah.
That's a different game. And not even if you're long term, it's hard, man. Like
it's hard to watch that dollar.
Yeah,
those dollars.
Now my dollar's worth what, 75 cents now? What is worth what, 60 cents now? 50 cents? Like, oh my gosh, I knew I shouldn't have bought it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other way, oh, my dollar could have been worth $1.50. It could have been worth what, $2? Oh.
Yeah. The fear of missing out. Yeah.
So what do you think is gonna happen when things open back up? You think it's gonna open back up only to close right back down?
If they see, that's the thing. Like from what I've been hearing, if they do close back down, some businesses, will not survive that. Closing up again. So I think they have to really think about how to approach it if there's a second wave.
Right. I think it's inevitable to get a second wave. And I don't find it too scary now, right? Because you're seeing a lot of people and they share the same sentiment. And there were a ton of protesters not wearing masks. And you're talking about it being maybe because it was sunny and it's warm out.
From what I saw on, like, I don't know, it could be the media, but then from the videos that I've seen and the pictures, people are going to the beach, they're congregating. Most of them are young people. They really don't care. They don't abide by
I went to the
social
beach.
distancing.
I went to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah. But were you like keeping your distance?
Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was keeping their distance.
Wow.
There was a sense of that in the back of your head,
Right,
everyone.
right.
But at the same time, it was just people are living in the moment. And even if you were wearing a mask or keeping a distance, I'm not sure if it would have helped because the wind. It's not like you're at the beach and there's no wind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's windy there. I mean, it's a nice breeze, but if someone sneezes, it's going to carry. And if you're wearing a mask, it can carry from the side because it's not completely sealed. A lot of people that I see, they wear those, masks and there's gaps on the top, on the sides.
Right.
There's a lot of space where you can see.
Yeah.
And most of the time people only wear it and they cover their mouth.
Oh, so they leave the nose open.
A lot of people do that, and I get it.
Yeah.
I know people that absolutely hates wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, but I do wear it, right? But I don't enjoy it.
It gets uncomfortable, especially in this type of weather when it's like hot, humid.
Right, and no one's gonna wear a mask to the beach.
Yeah.
So when I was there were thousands of people at the Jersey Shore, and nobody was maybe I saw like 2 people.
Yeah.
The entire time I was there wear a mask.
Wow, 2 people?
And when they stepped foot on the beach itself, that was on a boardwalk.
Yeah.
But when they stepped foot inside the beach, not one mask.
Oh, wow.
And there was, a lot of wind blowing. Like there was so much wind. Like you're sitting there. If I were to throw sand in the air, it's easily if the wind's blowing your way.
Right.
I throw sand in the air, it's gonna carry sand.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, Will, what the hell?
Yeah.
So imagine if I just said, "Hachu,"
Yeah.
or not even "Hachu." If I was just like talking, like the way I am now, we're having a conversation.
And the saliva, the
particulates just kind of makes its way over
floating.
to you.
They're floating and they're just like looking for their next victim.
So here's what I mean, and look, if that's the case, if it was that contagious, everybody at the beaches would be in a hospital. And here's what I don't understand. This is why so many people is confused, right? You got on one end, you got people just staying home, so they don't see it. All they believe is everything that they see and read on the news, right? Then you got people that's actually out there with no mask.
Yeah.
like the people at the beach, a lot of these young folks. And I spoke to Dr. Dave Lee, who we had on this podcast, and my friends who are nurses and doctors as well. And they're saying, no, the curve is flattened. It's pretty normal. If anything, people are like afraid to go to the hospital for every little thing because they don't want to catch it.
Right.
And they rather just stay home. But for the most part, they haven't had they haven't been overwhelmed recently with any COVID cases. So you think about the protests, you think about in New York City in particular, I'm not speaking for the rest of the country, but New York City in particular, or New Jersey, you just see beaches packed, restaurants, outdoors, bars
packed.
I mean, it looks like a block party. People are shoulder to shoulder. So if it was that hardcore, and I'm not saying that it's not, I'm saying what the news is saying, that this is extremely deadly and contagious. And if it's at that level, shouldn't we have a ton of people in the hospitals right now? What happened? Did we get immunity?
Yeah.
Or is this something with the warm weather? Like, I don't know. What's the answer here?
Yeah, they don't have the answer.
That's what I'm saying. It's like bizarre.
It's sort of like a waiting game, right? And it's anticipation of what we expect to happen and what is not happening. And, so I get that, I get that sense of FOMO too, where, these people are out here, I should be out here too, just enjoying the weather and just chilling, hanging out.
I think what is also a contributor to that is that people are just fatigued. They got quarantine fatigue, man. They're just tired of this shit.
Yeah.
They're saying, fuck it, I had enough, man. It's nice out, sunny. For my mental health now, I need to be outside. Yeah. I need to be outside, and people are just saying, screw that, man. But I'm just confused. I'm saying there's so many people outside. There's so many people, and it is just, it amazes me that they're not wearing a mask. By the way, and very close to each other. Yeah. And how are the hospitals not packed?
Yeah, well, we're not saying like people shouldn't be outside. Like I'm getting that from you. Like,
I'm going.
People are
I'm thinking
should be outside.
I'm not saying either. I'm just going with what the news is saying. About what we know about COVID so far, that it's highly contagious and it's deadly. And it's brutal to have. And then I'm using my eyes and I'm going, wow, that's a lot of people clustered together.
Right. That's reality you're seeing.
So I'm going, what in the world? How come everyone's healthy? They look great. Everyone looks energetic. They don't look sick. Yeah. I mean, if I have a flu out, I'm not coming out. I feel like crap. I stay home. Right. So there's so many people out and they looking strong, feeling strong, protesting. Yeah. So you got protesters, you got people that's going out, hanging out together in close proximity because you can't be inside. So they're all outside together. And I'm telling parts of New York, like area where there's a lot of bars and restaurants, that entire street, it's just people standing and congregating there. Not even cars passing by.
We're talking about New York streets, like even avenues are not that, wide.
Right.
So they're they're very narrow. People have to, people almost have to kind of like just sidestep to get out of the way. Right. But
I'm not downplaying this at all. I'm actually extremely concerned about how this will show up when it does show up again. That's what I'm concerned about. What if COVID, and it will evolve. It will, just like any other virus. It's just the way it progresses.
That's nature. Like they're gonna find the virus will find a way to adapt to the new environment.
So what happens when it does?
Wow, that's like
we're gonna get a second wave.
Movie,
there's no doubt.
Yeah,
we're gonna get a second wave. And when I say second wave, I'm acting like the first wave was ever over. But
yeah, I'm talking about that's what they're saying. The first wave is not even over yet.
I'm talking about second wave as in like another sharp spike where hospitals could be packed.
Well, the thing is now they have the opportunity to rectify what they didn't get to do the first time, right? So they have this low impact right now. The hospitals should prep for a second wave.
So
is that what they're doing?
But here's
I don't
my
know.
concern. Like if let's say I'm looking at this and I'm going, hold on. Let's say this strain, people are getting immune to it, or we're learning how to deal with it, and maybe it's the summertime, and maybe the vitamin D things actually does work, and UV light kills off the virus, and it doesn't do too well in the sun. Let's say all that is true. It's going to give people a false sense of security. When flu season hits, holy shit.
Yeah.
We're in for a doozy.
And they have to contest with a different virus, a flu virus, in addition to the coronavirus. Well,
Right.
the COVID-19.
Right.
So, man, it's like a double whammy,
Right.
But hopefully, we're prepping for that.
But you can't prep for it. You can't. The only way to prep for it, like realistically, is to quarantine. There's no other way you can prep. I mean, yes. You get your food and your home and your stock and you do all that stuff again. You do that whole dance again and hoarding toilet paper, whatever.
Yeah.
But how do you prep for it?
No, yeah. What I mean is like the city. I hopefully,
How do cities prep for it? The only way to really stop this, in the meantime, while everyone's working on a vaccine, you really got to lock yourself up.
No, man.
And everyone has to. This is something that everyone has to do.
Right, but that's been the solution or the advised solution for the past 3-4 months.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a true lockdown. I'm
Or
talking
you
about
want a true lockdown,
some China shit.
like Italy, China.
Yeah, like where they said, all right,
Just
we're-
close the fucking gates.
We're gonna
the doors.
close everything up, and we're gonna lock this shit for 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh man.
And suck this shit up. It's gonna suck. It's gonna blow big hairy balls.
Yeah.
But when you guys come out, we're all gonna be healthy, and
We'll
it's all gonna be good.
Better for it.
Yeah. But then you're looking at a place like New York or America. I mean, let's say we do that here, and someone over there doesn't do it in another country. I mean, the way I see it, if we really want to get rid of it, the whole world just goes, yo, why don't we just, it sounds absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But if the whole world just quarantines themselves, all the countries that are impacted, if they just quarantine themselves for the next 6 weeks, I think we shouldn't see this virus again. Yeah. Ideally.
But the thing is, like, even if the U.S. were to lock down, right? We're talking like you said, in Brazil, they're having a huge spike. Yeah. Like other countries are having a huge spike. So
and Brazil's warm too, right? Right now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's near the equator. So basically, you just have to, even if the U.S. locks down, and then once the U.S. is like, oh, I eradicated the virus and reopened, then you have to close borders from different countries. For people to come over,
Well, Canada did that. Canada turned away almost all of the tourists. Yeah. I mean, I think 87% or so, 89, something like that was from U.S. Yeah. Trying to go into Canada for shopping and non-essential.
Yeah, my coworker was like trapped there. Well, she initially
trapped in Canada.
Yeah, she initially escaped. Like she's from New York, and she went over to Canada. And she decided she's been there for 3-4 months.
Well played.
Yeah, I don't know if she was kept there or she just decided not to come back.
She could come back down. Yeah. U.S. didn't stop people from coming in from Canada. I think it was the other way around. Yeah. Canada was like no
U.S.
Yeah.
She got out of the city just in time.
I don't know if unless they have a rural place in Canada, I don't know if it's much different.
No, yeah. There's different.
If you go to a major city, I know that, but I'm talking about if you go to a major city. If you leave New York City to go to like Toronto, I don't know how different it would be, except that it would be a lot colder. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're still in a major city, and that's saturated with.
No, yeah, she was away from the city, so she was in there that like any dense population. So she had a little, she was in the burbs.
And you know what that said. Speaking of like cities, New York City in particular, everyone's getting the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah.
I know people that's actually left. Specifically, New York City in droves.
Yeah.
I have so many people that I know that's not here anymore, and I didn't even know until I saw them on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, whoa, this motherfucker moved there.
Is it? Are they moving? Are they going to other
Smaller
states?
towns, yeah, other states.
Right. Okay.
They're not going to other countries that I know of, but definitely smaller states where the cost of living is lower, more affordable. And you know, I spoke to one of them, and he told me, he's like, Will, I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. He moved months ago, and I was like, why? He said, I was like, dude, New York is the shit, no? And he said, I thought it was, man. I always had this fear of missing out. Like if I leave New York, I would be missing out on everything, and everyone will be getting ahead of me. And he goes, once I got out that mentality and I'm here now, I can't believe I haven't done it years ago. I wasted years of my life in New York City.
This is pre-COVID. He left pre-COVID.
No. I think during the winter time. I don't know exactly when. Maybe February, March. It was cold.
Yeah.
But I spoke to him recently, and he said, man, like he moved to Florida, somewhere warm, and he was just like, I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. I love it here. He was like, people are nicer. Things are calmer. It's less competitive. So he feels because he's from New York, he has an edge. Oh yeah, easily. Yep. He says because his mind moves at a faster pace. He has his work ethic. He hasn't been fully assimilated to their relaxed vibe yet. And he said, so their normal is him being lazy. You know, like he says, yeah, it sucks when I go to Starbucks and it takes like 5 times to take, longer for anything like
fast food isn't fast food there.
Right. You know, whereas in New York, but in New York, the lines are so damn long, you're still waiting this probably same amount of time, if not longer, just to get your cup of coffee.
Yeah, and then you have less people there, so, you know.
Yeah, and he's telling me, man, and he says everything's cheap compared to New York City, obviously.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he says his dollar goes so much further, and his job was able to relocate him and not reduce his pay while moving to a minor city.
Oh, wow,
coming from
amazing.
A major city.
Yeah.
So he's loving it, man. He's like, I will never come back. And he goes, I cannot believe I didn't do this sooner. And it really did make me think, man. Yeah. I was just like, whoa. Yeah. Whoa. And then I said, nah, hold on. I love New York City. Like, I'm born and raised here, man. It's just, the city's everything to me because all the different things that it has. But I don't, honestly though, I could see myself moving to a smaller town. Just not now.
But you had opportunities, or you had experience in a smaller town when you were younger.
I did. Man, I loved it.
Yeah, you had that experience. But right now, you know, with a career, with a family, you know, do you see yourself being able to create a life that's, you know, not surrounded by friends or family close to you? Maybe your job, it will be different.
Those are things that you think about, right?
Yeah.
You weigh all of that in. But the truth is, I've thought about it, and there isn't much really keeping me here. Tell you the truth, was like there's except for just familiarity. Yeah. It's my family is my family. You know, I can always visit them and my friends as well because of social media and technology, the world has become so much smaller. Yeah. So it's much easier to communicate. And my friends, as you get older, the truth is you don't see your friends as much. You really don't. Unless you do business with your friends or you have something that ties you guys together where you both have a common goal. Whereas when you were friends, you were just kicking it because that was your boy. You guys, you know, it was all good.
Yeah, you're spending your free time.
Right. But as you get older, you guys go in different directions. Your time becomes more limited and you put it into things that actually matter to build yourself up and your family. Your priorities change. You know, they're not number 1, 2, 3, whatever they are in your life anymore. However, you still got love for them and you still care for them, but you know that they're not going to take care of you for the rest of your life. That's something you need to do. You need to build your own path. So that said, you know, I learned that a little later than I would like to admit. So that said, I mean, even now with technology and everything that's going on, like because of that, I don't even see my friends as often as I would like or as much as I used to, whereas we used to see each other every freaking day. Yeah. And now it's like we haven't even seen each other in almost because of COVID though too. I mean, almost a year.
Not even like video chatting or anything like that. Using technology to
I'm not into
communicate
the
or
whole
texting.
video chat.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that with clients at work, if they want to. That's all good. But with my friends, like you guys invited me to a video chat. I didn't really give a shit about it.
Yeah. This guy missed out on my birthday video chat, guys. So.
That was actually a good reason.
Yeah, I know. You were out with your family, so I got that.
But besides that, I mean, if it was like even like for birthday chat, obviously I would show up, right? But if it's like anything like, hey, let's drink on the chat. I would happy hour on the chat.
I'd rather drink in person.
Yeah, no, and hey, more power to people that do that. But I think it was cool the first time around, and it's like been there, done that. Now it's like second time, third time. It's like, all right, it gets a little awkward.
Yeah, it
gets a little strange. Yeah,
it's old quick.
So I don't know, man. I think given the right circumstances, I would go. The number one thing, obviously, is just to make sure that the quality of living is an improvement.
Yeah.
And that's really it. But I'm not afraid to leave. I'm not afraid to leave. Actually, I'm looking for reasons, like a legit reason to give me enough of a booster pack behind my back and take off to somewhere else.
What would those reasons be? Like for me, I would think it has to be the right opportunity. Like, a job, a career has to be settled. A job has to be settled. And yeah, like I agree with you. Nothing really is holding me back. I mean, like, I can move in an instant. But now I have to think, like, what would my girlfriend think? Like, what's her, what is her plan with me and my plan with her? Are we going to start a family? Is it going to be here, or is it going to be, or could it be anywhere?
Yeah, that's important shit to weigh, man. For me though, it's not. I wouldn't be moving for opportunity because I have that here. I created a space where I have opportunity to pretty much excel in the areas that I would need to make a living in New York City. Right. So I'm pretty comfortable here, actually. Like, I have nothing, like, I don't feel like the way other people do that has left New York City. Like, I don't feel that way at all. However, I do wonder, like, would there be an improvement? Is the grass greener on the other side? It's a curiosity that makes me go, all right, because when I left New York when I was a kid to move down south, I was afraid and I thought it would have sucked. And it was the opposite, man. People were so friendly. I had strangers walking up to me saying hi. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Growing in New York, we didn't have that. Yeah.
No one's nice.
I thought people were like, why are you smiling and saying hi? Yeah. And, that Southern hospitality really got to me, man. And I made friends with all these white boys, 3 blonde kids named Billy. And
the 3 Billies.
Yeah, man. And they're like fucking awesome. They're crazy as fuck, but they're fucking awesome. I mean, these kids knew their way around the woods and freaking poisonous snakes. Like hanging out with like 3 Steve Irwins, like they were crazy, man, just grabbing wild snakes. I was like, hell no, man. Like,
I'm a city boy.
Yeah, I wasn't used to it. I didn't, I was like, man, I need some concrete, man. What is all this dirt and leaves and mosquitoes, man? I'm not. But they were cool, man. It was so much fun. And I think it's important to give yourself these new experiences. And I haven't had that in a long, long time in regards to a change of scenery. Probably the last time since we were in college. Yeah. And when we were in college, that was also a change of scenery. And it was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome, man. And I wouldn't mind having that, but it's a really big move to uproot myself because I got my roots so deep here. Yeah. But it's not because of other people keeping me here. It's really myself.
But also, it's not you solo. I mean, it would probably be easier if you're just yourself, if you were to kind of uproot everything and then start new
life.
Gosh,
if it was myself, I'd be going to the other side of the world. I'd be country hopping.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh my gosh, if I was single, yeah, I would be country hopping doing this podcast. I was like, hey guys, I'm in Mexico today. I'm in Poland. I'm in Bali. I'm in New Zealand, Bali. I'm in this weird country I can't even pronounce. It's hell yeah.
I'm about to go diving with the sharks, but I just wanted to have a conversation. Do a podcast before I head out.
Yeah, I literally close my eyes and go, where to next? Bam. That's where I'm going. And I'm willing to do that while being Asian. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. Like, I would because if you remember, like before I became a dad, I was really, it's a little different.
You were a spirited traveler, vagabond,
Yeah, just about that.
Bourgeois.
Even the way I drive has changed.
Oh wow, yeah, not as aggressive, right?
It was pretty aggressive.
Well, yeah, now it's not.
It wasn't
aggressive.
reckless. There's a difference between
Yeah.
being a spirited driver and a reckless driver.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't reckless.
Well, I'm sure you found a way to kind of have a blend of both sides of will.
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
merge the two, but it leans more to be more conservative and responsible now with a lot of the decisions I make. But yeah, you mix of both. I don't know, but here's the thing: New York City real estate, man, it's going to take a hit in these major cities. And I mean, the people I spoke to, some people that are wealthy, some people that are on the other end of the spectrum, and they share the same sentiment, man. Real estate's going down not only because people are moving out, but also because the crime has gone up. If you look at Soho, it is destroyed.
I was down the
Did
down
you
the block,
see East
Broadway.
Village?
Yeah.
Soho, holy crap. I mean, that's our hood.
Yeah.
It is absolutely like destroyed. It looks like
definitely doesn't look the same.
it looks like Florida. It looks like everyone's prepping for a hurricane.
Yeah. Everything's boarded up, wooden planks.
I remember when I was living down in Florida, everything. That's when we were prepping for Hurricane Andrew. I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This looks like Florida, man. Like we're
wow.
prepping for a hurricane. Everything's boarded up, shards of glass on the floor. Except the difference is, what gives it that New York vibe? The graffiti everywhere.
Spray paint. Yep.
Because graffiti went away in New York.
Yep.
And when I say went away, it dramatically.
I remember
reduced.
like
Whereas when we were
trains-
kids, there was graffiti all over. You couldn't even see the color of the train anymore.
Exactly. You didn't even see the silver.
Right.
You saw every other color but
Bridges
silver.
were all tagged
Yeah.
up. Bridges, buildings. I mean, you name it. Billboard signs. Everything, man. Anything that's hard for you to paint over, anything that's easy for you to visually look at.
Yeah.
That was all. It was all graffitied up, man. Trucks, vans.
The crazy part now, we see that this is celebrated. Like even like graffiti art is celebrated now, right? I think actually I miss that kind of like. I love the trains being clean and everything, but I also miss that part where graffiti art was flourishing at that time. And now it's in a different style. Now it's
tell that to the building owners.
Yeah, I get that.
The
now,
people getting their stuff,
Yeah.
graffitied on. But right now I'm seeing, and it's not
graffiti
even
arts
nice
in
graffiti right
museums.
now.
Yeah.
It's just motherfuckers with spray cans spraying shit.
Yeah.
It's not, it looks ugly. Before, like I hung out with graffiti artists as a kid, and they would teach me how to write my B's, my C's, my D, my whole alphabets.
Yeah.
Like there's certain style,
Right.
and penmanship.
Technique. There's technique to
Everything,
it.
especially with what kind of caps I use for the spray. I mean, I learned all of that as a kid.
Yeah.
And
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So, how far away you should spray? Like, you would think like what people from the hood teaching you how to properly paint something, spray paint, and how far away, and what kind of cap and what kind of colors is good to mix. And I was just like, holy crap, or which places are best and what surface and what time and where. Like they knew everything. It was extremely strategic.
Yeah.
And you can do it so fast, and stencils. I mean, it was really.
Was it usually sketched out in a notepad before it was put on canvas?
Well, that's what you would do as a graffiti artist. You would constantly have it in your mind. That's the way it was seen. Like, if you know how you doodle when you're a kid and you're bored in class and or you're kind of waiting, you have a pen and paper, and so that's what, you would always doodle, your graffiti, your tag name, or certain art that you would do in the street graffiti style. So your notebooks would be full of that. You have like a book full of that stuff. And yeah, that stuff is beautiful. And there's parts of New York City that has that right now.
Yeah.
Or Queens or Brooklyn, and you go to it. I mean, a lot of people take photos of it.
Yeah.
Or they pose next to it because it's beautiful. It is art.
It is. It
yeah.
is.
But the graffiti I'm talking about right now,
Yeah.
it is disgusting. It is whack. People
Yeah.
would piss pour handwriting, they don't even know.
Poor
They got
penmanship.
everything. The style sucks. Everything, and they just graffitiing.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they want. They just drawing stupid shit.
Yeah, they're just damaging property.
They-
I was
stupid.
in Soho, but
That's not New York, man. That's not
Yeah.
New York. It's some motherfucker with a spray can.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. Plus, I also saw some beautiful artwork, murals that were put up.
But they're even doing the cheap graffiti over the good graffiti.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. That's not New York. No, people didn't do that, man.
Yeah, and you saw some.
If they did buff over someone's shit because they didn't like them, they had beef with them, but they put something dope up.
Yeah. I've seen
Over
murals, and then I see like the graffiti.
Yeah, but
kinda
that's because
sprayed
they were
on the
beefing and
murals.
they put in some dope shit. So
Yeah.
that was, but to disrespect and just put some, and these people aren't graffiti artists. They're just there trying to,
Yeah, they're scribbling.
yeah, they're being dicks.
New York City is a beautiful place, and I really, I'm really proud that we have the protests and we have the right to voice our opinions and everything. And
Protest, not the looting.
yeah, not the looting and
That's a
that-
disgrace.
Yeah, and the expressions that are being held here, it just sucks that there is the bad with the good.
Now, here's also a concern. Crime is up big time in New York City. I mean, I've read in the paper. I mean, shootings, people just got shot, killed. And it's rampant. It's rampant. And people. One of my neighbors told me they were in the city, work, as the phases reopened, and someone pulled up with a box cutter, trying to rob him, and he just ran the opposite way.
Oh wow,
That's a good thing he could run fast.
Damn.
So random people, and then you see random attacks, racist attacks. Young healthy men attacking 90-something-year-olds, 92-year-olds, 80-year-olds. Just knocking them the fuck out. And it's like, what's going on? And there's crime that's going unpunished. Unpunished. Now, are the police hands are tied? Are they overwhelmed? Or are they just going, you know what? Maybe they're forming this is their
Dissent. Like, screw
or
this.
or silent protests of their own. Going, oh, you want to, okay. You want to defund me? You want to do this? You want to do that? Well, here's a little taste.
That's
You
a
wanna
little scary.
criminalize me?
That's very scary. That's very scary.
It's frightening, man. It's frightening. And you know what? The neighborhoods that are going to get punished the most are the low income areas.
Yeah.
They're going to, not the rich areas, they're going to be just fine in terms of police presence.
Yeah.
But the low income areas, you think the police are going to go, oh, I'm going to risk my life there. I'm going to risk my career and take this. Look at the Atlanta police, right? Though he was shot at the Wendy's.
Yeah.
Right. He got pulled over for someone called the police on him for being asleep in his car.
Yeah.
Apparently he had a couple too much to drink. He drank. He was very compliant, very nice, until the cops decided to arrest him.
Yeah.
And he made a run for it. He kind of wrestled his way out, kind of just squiggled his way out, did a beeline out, grabbed one of the tasers, shot back.
I mean, from
but
what
it was empty.
But
and
from what I
then-
heard, he actually assaulted the police officer and punched
Right.
him,
So
or tried to hit him.
Well, because he wanted to break free.
Right,
They were
yeah.
trying to grab him, so he had to get physical.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got into a tussle.
Yeah.
And then after he saw an opportunity to escape, he did. So he ran. It was on some real cops and robbers. When you played as a game.
Yeah.
So they thought they had him, and he just went whoop. He just was making a run for it. And then I believe he grabbed one of the tasers.
Yeah, he grabbed the
Right.
tasers,
And he
yeah.
tried to shoot back, reportedly, and it was, I guess, empty.
Yeah.
And that's when the other officer pulled his gun and shot him.
Yeah, and shot him. Yeah.
Crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it escalated, and it shouldn't even ever got to that point. The guy was just asleep. So
Yeah.
I don't know the whole thing behind it, but it's unfortunate all around. So
Yeah.
now Atlanta PD has decided to not answer 911 calls in that area.
How's that legal though?
I don't know.
If you're a police
know.
officer,
But how's anything legal that's
or
been going
the
on,
police
man?
department.
Everything, the world's upside down. How's anything legal that's been going on?
Yeah.
It's fucked up. And I mean, I just can't imagine. Like, can you imagine being a kid and calling 911 because you need them, and say some crazy shit's going down, and 911 doesn't come through?
Yeah.
you call the cops or the ambulance and they don't come by your neighborhood, so someone that you love dies because of that, do you know how much hate you would have in your heart for people that work
that doesn't have a great
as
outcome.
an authority?
Yeah, it doesn't have a great outcome. People are gonna have a certain viewpoint. Even now, like, you know, the police. A lot of people don't have a lot of respect for police. But then now, if you have the police departments not answering the calls for emergencies, man, that's gonna you know, create a whole group of people who are just gonna have this hate and
it's just gonna, that's why I'm saying you can't build on hate.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hate on top of hate on top of hate. Like, we have to get to somewhere on both sides, somewhere where we can mutually agree, like, okay, I fucked up, and this is how we're gonna move better. Like, let's figure out how we're gonna move forward together as a society.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've gotten there yet. I know that we're trying. Yeah,
conversations, you know, a mediation has to happen, because the way I look at it is sort of like if you're in a relationship and then you have a fight with your partner, and you just give them the silent treatment. It's going to escalate. It's going to things are going to be said, but behind your back, and then now there's this animosity between you guys.
Because that devil on your shoulder is going to keep talking that shit.
Yeah, and that's the way I see it now, where, you know, you have the police not answering calls. So okay, you're escalating something and creating this animosity with people that you're trying to build a bridge to, and that's going to create more, you know, dissension. I don't know. It doesn't look good at all.
And that's the thing. Think about what the prices of real estate is going to be. It's going to plummet. Everyone leaving. All the rich people are selling, trying to get. They're already moving into these suburbs. They're selling their property in New York City, which is unheard of.
Well, that's the thing. Actually, there's an interesting article that I read recently from the Corcoran Group. It's a real estate firm in New York City, and he said even before COVID, pre-COVID, there was a lack of inventory in the market, and there were a lot more buyers than inventory, and that was driving up prices. And they said now with COVID and everything happening, they said that there's going to be even more lack of inventory. And they actually, said, this is the article that I read. Right. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because you said the opposite, and I'm just bringing up
it's not a lack of inventory.
The macro view of it, right? We're seeing. No, I agree with you, because I've been looking at,
they hustling.
No, I've been
and
looking.
They're saying, oh, we're lacking inventory. They're hustling.
Right. I've been actually looking into real estate myself, and I've seen prices being cut.
Hell yeah.
Prices are going down.
If there's a lack of inventory, that means that supply is low. And
the prices will increase. That's what the article said.
Prices will increase.
Right. That's what the article said.
Right. But when you actually look at it for real, that's why you can't believe everything you read.
Yeah.
Because there's an agenda sometimes behind it. They're not actually reporting the news. They're reporting something to make you think a certain way so that it fits their narrative or their agenda. So they want to make you buy more. They're going to tell you, hey, fear of missing out, supply's low, which is complete horseshit, because if you look at the market, everyone's cutting down prices. How is the supply low? The way I see it, I think the demand is low, not the supply. And if you look at the real data in New York City, homes, luxury homes between $5 to $10 million in that bracket are down 90%. That is crazy. Crazy. And when you're at that level of money, you're going, whoa, what's going on? You think those people don't know people? If you have $5 million, you can afford a $5 to $10 million home like that. You think all those people aren't talking to each other and going, yeah, hey, run from New York City? We have friends that are in that area that's telling us, hey, you might want to put your money somewhere else other than New York City if you got that much money.
Yeah.
And then if you look at everything below that, because everything in New York City is pretty much $1 million. If you want to get decent homes, at least $1 million for a really nice 1-bedroom that's 600 square feet, right? As of now. But that's down too. That's down too. So you got to look at it. It's going to be a trickle effect all around. So I don't know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. I think the surrounding areas, those prices are going up. I've talked to my friends that live in these suburbs in the surrounding areas, maybe an hour outside the city, and their prices have skyrocketed. That's what's interesting.
Yeah.
That New York City money, and people are not even negotiating. They're, rich people, they find something they like, and they're looking at all the square footage compared to New York City. They're not going to give a fuck. They're like, well, you know what? Yeah. I'm not going to like small potatoes.
Yeah, I mean, those areas are high demand compared to New York City. People are, like you said, people are flocking away from denser, more urban cities for more rural and, suburbs spaced out, more space.
The world's upside down because at one point where people were going from the suburbs and they were downsizing to cities, because it was just lower maintenance, convenience, commutes there, everything. They were so proud to be specifically in New York City. And now it's just like, hell no, man, I'm out. Now there's a big shift. Now the suburbs is cool again.
Yeah. I wonder where it's going to, how it's going to shift. The entire industry, it's going to be totally different in years to come because of COVID, because of, inequalities between peoples. So that's definitely going to change the whole environment.
It's just bizarre. Everything's like backwards, and you think one thing's one way and it's another way, and you're constantly having to pivot. And it's like once you think you figured out the rules, they go ahead and change it on you all over again. Once you think you got everything figured out and everything settled, shit changes, and just the world's accelerating so fast in almost every freaking way. It's hard to keep up, and it's, people are stressed, man. It's confusing, and it's hard to stay grounded and level-headed. And in this day and age, I think it's just there's so much information that you're getting overwhelmed. You don't even know what to believe anymore, that you just give up on just trying to figure out the truth because you're being spun in all these different directions.
Yeah, but I think like people should do their own investigation and see it for themselves, right? And
then on top of that, even when they do, then what?
Make their own informed decision based on that.
And then the rules get changed again. That's my point. That's my point, right? You make your informed decision, and then you think you got it all figured out and all settled, and then the rules change again. Something else comes up, and you're like, "Fuck."
No, well, we have to learn and adapt. We're human beings, but we're survivors, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what we do.
Got to learn and adapt. There's tons of information that's coming our way. Some may be false, some may be true, some might be the reality for you or not. Like you said, the article that I was reading is not the reality that we're seeing.
So look, we're a couple of weeks into the second half of 2020. Do you think, what's the over under here, man? Do you think it's going to continue its craziness? It's going to be constantly going hold my beer on every freaking news. It just keeps from remember, we started with the Australian fires this year.
Oh, I forgot about that already. But yes, the Australian fires were a huge
that
thing,
was at the start of in January.
Yeah.
The Australian wildfire. And then we almost entered into World War III, and then Kobe's passing. And it just kept escalating and one up on top of each other with the news cycle. It's just been a very aggressive year.
Yeah.
Do you think second half of 2020 we're going to see something more relaxed where, all right, the worst is over, we have only way to climb, we're going to get out of this, all right, we're going to be all right, man, this is going to be all right, we're going to have a lot of good news. It's going to be the complete opposite of the first half?
I don't think it's going to be complete opposite. I'm not going to say, everything is going to return to normal, because it's not.
Would I be foolishly optimistic to think so?
Oh, yeah, I think so, man. I think look, we can't dictate what the laws of physics and what's going to happen in the world. So I think what's going to happen, and I will be surprised that there's no there isn't a natural disaster or like a super hurricane
Please don't.
that comes
Please
into New York
don't.
City. You know what I'm
Florida's
saying?
gonna get smacked in the states down south. Like, no, man.
I wouldn't be
We
surprised
don't
that
need
if
that.
something. Yeah, of course we don't need it.
Oh my gosh.
No
please
one needs anything. Any
that
more
on top
disasters.
of COVID, on top of I don't know how much more we could take if that happens, you know, or an
Yeah.
earthquake.
Oh man, yeah.
Now you got the West Coast all hurt.
Wasn't
like,
there a recent earthquake that happened? But it was
in the U.S.?
in the U.S. I think in California or something. But
They
it
always get
wasn't.
earthquakes though. It's like,
It wasn't like a major.
yeah, they always get the. I'm
it
talking
was a
about a
major one.
major, you know, where there's like it looked like Godzilla ran through there.
Where the
I don't
streets are
know,
breaking
man.
apart.
So you think 2020 is just gonna keep one up and
Yeah, I think so. 2020
it's
will
gonna be the gift that doesn't
20
stop?
Yeah,
giving?
2020 is going to be the year of, disasters. I think, and then people will reflect on this, and I don't know. Maybe it will change where where.
Yeah, I
we
read
as
an
humans
article
are
that said that
are moving
according to the
towards.
Mayan calendar, we have about. Well, it said according to the Mayan calendar next week,
Mhm.
which is a couple of days from now, from when I read it, the world's supposed to end.
Oh, I thought that happened like years ago.
That was that they honestly
Or they
like,
keep changing the Mayan
it was
apocalypse.
like I think in 2008 it was supposed to be 2000.
Uh-huh.
It was the world was supposed to end. If you remember, the year
Mhm.
2000, it's going to be supposed to be a major blackout,
Y2K.
and Y2K,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then I think again the Mayan calendar, all these conspiracy theorists or history buffs are saying 2012. So we got through 2012 all right. And then now they're trying to resurface. But that's such a quick timeline for them to say, hey. Usually they give much more of a lead time, but they say, hey, you have a week.
Oh, we just found this
shortest
out.
lead time.
We just translated this little sentence in the tablet, and it actually says next
At this
week.
point, it's the boy who cried wolf, man.
I mean, I don't know. That's a little sus to me. The fact that they would say, "Oh, next week."
But I did read that they just found a humongous pyramid in I think Mexico in the Mayan culture. I think it's oh man, I should have saved that article so I could reference them back. But it's this undiscovered pyramid, and it goes for miles.
Is it underground?
Yeah. No, it's not underground. Well, it's been covered by trees and stuff, but I think originally it wasn't underground. It's just been so many years that nature took over
Yeah.
and covered it up. Like the pyramid in China.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Was this recent or?
No, that's not recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a pyramid in China, and they blocked off people from going to go check it out since like I think almost 2 decades ago.
Oh wow.
But before that, they were able to excavate parts of it outside of the pyramids, and they found a bunch of terracotta soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
outside of it, and supposedly there's like underground lake that's filled with mercury.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's a tomb for the old king, I think back in the Ming Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
So really interesting stuff, and they have a lot of theories and blueprints and layouts of what they think that's there.
I never knew
But
that.
they found some beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I never knew that China had any pyramids.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Or is that
though?
the first pyramid that was discovered?
I don't know if that's the first pyramid. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
At least to my knowledge, when I think pyramids, I always associate it with Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That's
But
my
there-
first connection to it. But what's
there-
crazy
Yeah.
is that there are pyramids throughout the world.
Yes. Yeah. The Mayan pyramids and yeah.
Right. There's pyramids in Mexico. There's pyramids in Peru. Right. Is there pyramids in Peru? Well, I know there's Nazca lines and there's pyramids in China. There's pyramids all over the world, right? And I'm going, wait, time out. How did these people come up with the same? Was that the style back in the day to build pyramids? And if so, if that was the architecture that was favored back in the day, if they couldn't speak to one another, supposedly, right? Then how did they all know how to build something so complex? Whose design was that?
Well, if it's like my guess, I would think it's like merchants and traders who are traveling between countries, and they share this kind of knowledge.
Say like you get people that are they're basically salespeople. So you get salespeople that travel the world. Call them merchants and traders, however you want, right? You got salespeople that travel the world. They're gonna know how to build pyramids.
Well, they share that. Well, they share that information with kings and
is that enough?
And royalty,
right? But is that enough? Like, it's so complicated. At least to our knowledge, I mean, you got stones that needs to fit together like puzzle pieces,
right? Yeah,
that weighs tons. How do you carry it?
Well, the thing is, like, how do we know that the structure or the build of pyramids are the same in each different country, right?
They all pretty much have the same.
But they have the same shape, but we don't know structurally
they got
how can
big ass rocks built on top of big ass rocks that does not seem humanly possible with the technology that they had back in the day compared to what we have now to build it. If we go to present time and we took away our tools in terms of the trucks and the technology that we have to carry these stones, which they didn't have trucks and vehicles like that, then how the fuck did they do it? If you take it away now, we wouldn't know how to build it.
There's no way human labor, right? I'm assuming the slaves and.
But if you look
if
you look at the timeline, that's the hypothesis around it. But if you look at the timeline, they would still be building it. It wouldn't have been built.
You say it would take much longer with just like human hands to build. Yeah, they didn't have the technology to be able to erect something.
And now they're finding out that maybe it wasn't even built during the times of, like, going back to the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Right. That it might have been there already.
Before,
like the Sphinx.
Wow.
They're saying it might have been there already. So now you got people that's even older that they're saying these structures may be even older than what they thought it was. What?
Do you think this has any extraterrestrial origins?
No. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to me why aliens would come down and help us build buildings. It sounds like, ooh, yeah, they help us build this, and to me, I don't get it. I know they say, like, is it like energy and alignment,
transfer of energy,
and all that stuff. Then I don't know about that.
I've heard that some pyramids are actually conductors of electricity.
Right.
So there's some science that are.
But why would aliens teach us that, though?
To advance the human race at that point in time.
If they wanted to advance, when they tell us to use like different materials, that's not.
Well, maybe the materials didn't exist at that time period, and then it needed time to move forward.
Good point.
For it to develop, right? Like,
good point, because they don't have chemistry at that level. And,
exactly.
And other digital technology. Okay. So they would say, get these big ass rocks and stack them on top of one another.
Yeah, and then find the materials that like a type of metal that can transfer electricity in your time period, and build it within the center of the pyramid. And this is how you put it, position it.
So much mystery to the past history that like, why did they, like, if you look at what I just saw earlier, like what I brought up, Nazca lines, like, why the fuck did they build that? Like, why did they draw lines that stretch out for miles? Have you ever heard that?
I've never heard of Nazca lines. Can you?
They have, and you can Google it, right? And that's something you can spend like an hour on easily. Right?
Yes.
But they have lines and shapes of. There's one like a humanoid figure, and they're huge, and you can only see it. The reptiles, lizards, mammals, all over, and birds, and you can only see it if you're from an aerial view.
Oh, okay.
The shapes of it, because it's huge. It stretches out, and these lines has been around for, I think, as long as the pyramids.
Are these lines? Do they serve a purpose besides being?
No one knows for
showing
sure.
Shapes or anything.
It has
like
to show some. It has to have some type of purpose. Like, so at first they were like, maybe there are lines for like water or
irrigation.
Energy. Yeah, and when they look back at it now, they're like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's for something else. Maybe that's a sign for the aliens to communicate. And
Right.
I could believe with that, with the old school civilizations. You know, I could see that, because think about it, they used to kill people, thinking thinking that it's gonna give them better crops.
Yeah.
Right. So if you
Sacrifices.
you could do that, I could see yourself, you know, doing a huge graffiti on the floor, going, "Hey,
Right.
hope the gods could see this." All the aliens, or whatever they would believe
That's,
in. Back in
I
the
mean,
day.
that's super interesting, because when you're talking to me about like, okay, they're creating these lines to communicate to aliens or extraterrestrials, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe when they were looking at the stars, they were looking at, okay, these are images or messages from another race or aliens out in space. And so a way to communicate to the stars is to, you know, communicate on Earth,
right.
somehow.
Was it the Great Pyramid? There was built in alignment to the stars. So if you look at Orion's belt and I think the Nile River, and you look at the three pyramids, if you go back to that time, it's in perfect alignment with the constellation of Orion's belt, and the river aligns with the Milky Way.
Oh wow,
That's fucking
wait,
crazy.
so the river was man-made?
They did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Like, it matches perfectly with the
It
Milky Way.
does. Look it up, man. I'm telling you, it's pretty trippy. And if you look at the mathematics behind it, in terms of the shape in it, it equals pi. It's crazy. They actually they wasn't just throwing stones like being cavemen, like raw.
Right.
There's like precision behind it, mathematics behind it. There's a lot of calculations, and not only just to build it in this open field, but we wanted to line it up with the constellations. We wanted to line it up with the stars. That to me is crazy.
Well, it kind of like,
I feel like there's definitely information that's lost that they had back in the day, and we don't have anymore. And it's not somewhere that it's been communicated to us. And I think if it was, I think it would be so valuable. I think all of us would look at life differently, because they definitely figured something out. They definitely have a message.
Right. There was a blueprint for these builds.
Like, why did they do that? There has to be a reason. And it wasn't just Egypt. It was all over the place, right? You look at Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Right. There's also alignment there. If you look at so many places throughout the world, Puma,
I'm not familiar with that.
Teotihuacan. Like, I'm telling you, man, this is stuff. At first, I got put on all this when I was watching Ancient Aliens. And then I thought they were like bugged out. At the very least, it was entertaining. But what you can't argue is the structures. When you look at the structures, you're going, whoa, time out. Why did they build structures like that? It's crazy. And some of these structures, it looks like it was laser cut. And they didn't have lasers back in the day. So how did they have something that was so clean and precise to cut these rocks?
And it's not natural erosion, right? So
no, man.
Yeah.
And even in Japan, there's like supposedly, it's debatable, but what they found under the water, and there's scuba divers, and there's footage of this online, where they're arguing if this was naturally made or if this was human made, and it looks like a pyramid.
Yeah, underwater. Oh wow.
I forgot what it's called. I gotta brush up on my old school. So I haven't looked into that stuff since like over a decade.
Yeah.
Like after college, even during college, I was like really into that stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't really touched on it in so long, but man, it's so fascinating.
Is Ancient Aliens still on TV?
I don't know. They gotten kind of out of hand. Like the first couple of seasons, you were like, "Yo, that's some interesting stuff."
They're making
I never
connections
knew about.
with everything.
And then you go, well, now you're stretching it, man. They started talking some crazy
Lizard people.
Like not even
You're talking about lizard
they've
people?
gone beyond that, where you just kind of go, yeah, all right, now they're just trying to get like ratings. Like they're running out of shit. Like
Yeah.
they're just trying to keep the season going. You know.
I mean, that's the thing with, like, you know, the the world that we live in, it's like a never-ending tale of civilization. You know, there's so much story that, you know, we're missing, that we kind of want to come up with these, you know, connections with the past.
Yeah.
And how, you know, it plays out into the future.
You know, it's like, and I get it, man. Like when you have puzzle pieces, you know, you want to put it all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
and you want to see what that puzzle shows. Is it a
because
picture
we want
or
to
a message?
understand. We want to understand our purpose. You know, that's been man's oldest question. Why am I here?
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you got to understand your past.
You know, with all these connections and alien conspiracies, I think it's all connected. You know, with the pyramids, with different energy sources, crop circles, I think it's all connected.
What?
Yeah, I think it's all connected.
You know what? I
it's
get
a single
it, man.
message.
It does feel like there's no way this thing can be all random. I saw a lot of random shit, and I just don't. I mean, you look at it. You know, people tell me this is random or it's like conspiracy, but look, we have physical structures, man.
Yeah.
Like we have physical proof that there's a pyramid. You can't argue about, you know, pyramids and its purpose and what, you know, the things that we do know. It's amazing in itself, the things that are not debatable. Now, when you go beyond that, now you go, holy cow, man. You know, that can be entirely possible that it's built for something else that maybe we just don't really fully comprehend yet.
Yeah.
And that's what I find so fascinating. It's the mystery behind all of this stuff. It's and you know, it's unsolved.
Yeah, but that also inspires people to have these crazy imaginations.
What if it's not great? What if it's crazy not to have the imagination?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right? To just look at it and just dismiss it.
Yeah. And it's sort of like you look at these structures, they inspire people to create something bigger and better.
Right. Like, why would you build a Sphinx? What's up with that? What's the purpose of that? And if everything they built had a purpose, as it appears to be, they didn't do just something randomly for no reason. Everything they built had a reason. So why did they do that? Why did the Mayans do what they did? And why did the Mayans just suddenly leave? They were flourishing.
Yeah.
You know, so what's up with that? You know, it's just, I don't know. I gotta, you know what? After talking about this, it kind of reinvigorated my curiosity. I'm going to go back to see if I can update myself on any of these things. Maybe there's new information out there.
Maybe that's going to be part of your recommendation, right?
You know what? If you guys, you know, I could recommend for those of you, I mean, it's a little old, but I guess since we're on it, if you haven't watched Ancient Aliens and you kind of have a curiosity to it, I guess that's a pretty good entry level way of getting into it. At least if you don't find it accurate or whatever, at the very least that shit is entertaining. Yeah. So I guess I kind of circle back and watch Ancient Aliens to kind of, I like the first few seasons before it got out of hand.
So the beginning seasons were more realistic.
For me, when I started,
or they have actual science, you know, discovery behind it.
Some of the subject matter that they have is actually pretty cool. So certainly check that out. I think it'll be interesting. They cover so many things and things that you may not have been aware of. That's in the past. It's the last piece I think I've seen from the History Channel that actually had to do with something with history.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Actually, now History Channel has a lot of scripted stuff too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what it used to be.
No. Every docu channel is doing their own scripted series.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more lucrative. Well, for my recommendation, it's actually was inspired by you about Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I've been reading this book.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've been reading this book. It's called Children of Blood and Stone.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's based on West African mythology.
Okay. And
it was written by the author, and she was inspired by Harry Potter and Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it has those elements.
Wow.
So it's different tribes.
Is it awesome? Well, it must be awesome.
Well, the reason why I like it so much is because also it has a strong female lead. She's a young girl.
Why are those stories so fucking awesome when it has, I don't know why, like female leads, I don't know, they kill it.
Yeah.
And it's so entertaining. I love it. Like in Stranger Things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
11, strong
Yeah.
female lead.
Yeah.
And you're like, heck yeah. And then Winona Ryder.
Yeah. Amazing
Slaying.
mother. Yeah. She's like,
Oh,
she's
man.
relentless in finding her child.
So hot. So
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, strong female lead. So she's young and she lost her family and she's trying to get hold of her powers. She's from a long line of diviners. So basically she has these great powers, but she doesn't know how to use them and hasn't discovered them yet.
This is a book?
It's a book. Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna do an adaptation to screen.
Yeah. I think they're going
That sounds
to do
pretty
an adaptation.
hardcore.
Yeah. And it's gonna if they do a trilogy or some kind of epic fantasy, it's gonna showcase a lot of prominent black actors, I'm sure, because this is based in it's written by a Nigerian American and it's based in West African mythology. So yeah, we'll see some amazing characters.
I'm all for that. That sounds, number one, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Just fantasy genre in general.
Harry Potter, good fantasy. There's some that's like Harry Potter's cool, but Avatar: The Last Airbender, what? And you take two of those things together, you throw a female lead.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm.
Shoot, man.
Yeah.
What's the book called again?
The book is called Children of Blood and Stone.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's okay.
Check it out. I'm still reading it. I think it's already a trilogy, but I'm on the first book.
Is it a series completed? Or do you have to wait?
I believe they already have the second book out.
Now, is it one of those books that you just can't put down? Like, am I gonna lose sleep? Like, if I start opening this and I can't, it's like, one of those books where you just can't. You have to find out what happens in the next chapter. Got it. Yeah. And you can't close it because they always leave the fucking chapter open ended, and you're like, oh, I have to find out what happens.
I wouldn't say like it always ends in a cliffhanger, but if you enjoy Harry Potter, it has a similar elements of fantasy, and it's like she did a good job of building the world.
And they have superpowers and everything.
Yeah, so there's different tribes with different powers.
Oh
yeah.
Shit!
Yeah, so it's very like I said, it's very similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, but they have one tribe is able to they're like necromancy, so they can raise the dead.
Shit!
Yeah.
And they got Walking Dead type shit in there. Oh my gosh!
But the thing is also it plays on elements of oppression, because her tribe and her peoples are oppressed by this tyrant king. So and I was reading actually about the ideas that came to her, and she took elements of different movements, like the civil rights movement with Black Lives Matter. She kind of put that in the book as well. So it's very interesting, kind of have that allegory towards the real world as well. So, and also another recommendation. I was on the way here. I was listening to John Legend's new album.
Okay.
Big Love.
Okay. Is it like what's this?
Very soulful.
Okay.
John Legend. It's John
soulful.
Legend. Yeah. So when I was listening to his, I think. His is there
song. Another Ordinary People level type of jam in there?
Yeah, it made me like very hopeful for the human race.
Okay.
I was just listening to it and it almost brought a tear to my eye. And just thinking about what's going on in the world. I mean that
John Legend, damn.
I think
making grown ass men cry.
Yeah. I think he was definitely he already had plans to release the album. Okay. Before everything happened with COVID and everything like that. So, and I think he, instead of pushing it back, like a lot of artists, he decided to release it without any fanfare, but it's out there. And I think it's an amazing album. So
great recommendations, both of them. Yeah. Awesome stuff, Norm. All right. I think, thank you guys for listening. And until the next one, peace out.
Lucky Boys out.